What's he doing?
A rare one. Wildfires are breaking out all over Europe amidst an absolutely devastating heat wave. The view out the windows was red. You want to take a look at a heat map of Europe? Take a look at this. They are breaking heat records all over the place. I'm gonna bring that up.
Oof.
Yeah, it's just devastating. And I don't just mean that it's hot. This is the sort of news that we're about to launch into, that when someone tells you like, man, I wonder if someday climate change is gonna be so bad that it'll get through to people. No, there's no someday, there's no future. Right now, this is it. Over 1,000 people have died in just this heat wave in just Europe. 360 people died in Spain just between July 10th and July 15th. More than 800 had died there last month. They had highs of 110 to 113 degrees Fahrenheit. And those are huge numbers, but let's keep it real. These are individuals. One 60-year-old Madrid sanitation worker collapsed in the middle of the street while working on Friday. The man was rushed to the hospital with a body temperature of over 106 degrees Fahrenheit and died of heat stroke. He was one of 123 people who died from the heat in one day. Portugal, nearby, 659 people had died in the past week, most of them elderly, and it's not just continental. In Britain, the UK Met Office on Friday issued its first ever red extreme heat warning for Monday and Tuesday, when an exceptional hot spell is expected to hit the country. Some of the stuff that we report on is typical. It's happened for a long time. It might be getting a little bit worse. No, take a look at this. This is the top 10 hottest UK days on record. You'll notice they're happening more frequently. And of course, this falls on last week. We talked about some of the heat records being broken in other parts of the world. This is happening in Africa, the Middle East, and Asia. We were talking about in Japan and China, record heat. Yeah. This is what happens. Our producer put in a screenshot. UK Royal Air Force halted flights in and out of its largest airbase because the runway melted. We'll get to the loss soon, don't worry about that. But yeah, over 1,000 people died in one part of the world from one heat wave. That is the new normal, except that it's inevitably going to get worse with every passing year.
And there's no greater metaphor for climate change than the runway of a flight melting as you're trying to take off to burn more fossil fuels. And it's something that I believe was cited originally, or was used as an anecdote in a Naomi Klein book, This Changes Everything, which I definitely recommend everybody read, which is basically about how climate change necessitates structural economic changes. And as much fear mongering as Fox News does about, this means socialism, it actually does. It means to a certain extent that we cannot continue to have the 1% hoarding and burning and like fomenting the death of the planet. We cannot sustain this amount of hyper capitalism. And look, Europe usually, and I know that like I have relatives in Italy, and like in August, there's like that 1 week where things get really, really hot. And yes, the elderly die. And again, these aren't people unhoused. These are people in their homes who maybe don't have AC, there's rolling blackouts all the time, and then they die, and it's awful. Now it's happening in July. Then it's gonna start happening in June. Then it's pretty soon there won't even be springs, etc. Like this is going to keep going on. And like for a small sort of, a solution is also cutting back on the amount of, let's say, internal flights that happen in Europe. I mean, what's sort of ironic there is that you've got people on a train. Europe is very, very famous and well known for an incredible train system, right? But of course, more and more jetliners are pushing, and have been pushing to take, really, really quick and cheap flights all around Europe. Here are people actually trying to like take a more carbon neutral way of transportation. Now they're surrounded by flames. I mean, it just, again, irony on irony here.
Exactly, yeah, no, it's devastating. It's already here, it's already affecting every part of the globe. This is not a thing for 10 years, 20 years, 50 years. Oh, those will be worse and we'll follow it, because stay tuned. But right now, this is untenable. But anyway, I wanna go back to the screenshot we put up. There are people pushing for a too hot to work law. Right now in the UK and Ireland, there is no law that says that any given temperature is too hot or too cold to work. The fear, of course, is not just that it's uncomfortable, that it's difficult to work, but the people will literally die. That's one of the reasons we cited that particular sanitation worker in Madrid. This is already happening. And so we need these protections, not just for the UK and Ireland. There has to be considerations here as well. And how likely do you think it is that that will be allowed federally for something like this to happen? Maybe some states will do the right thing, but like maybe people don't remember, was it last year that those tornadoes like swept through, I think it was Amazon facilities?
Yes.
And they hadn't been allowed to leave. And like now we've moved on and nobody's even thinking about it. Like the corporations are not gonna willingly let people take work off as more and more days become impossible to work on. So that is something, again, another thing that we're gonna have to push for. And until we do, people will needlessly die.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. And don't get it twisted. It is the cost benefit analysis of an entire warehouse. Luckily, not many lives were lost, but even a couple lives. But let's say 30 employees at an Amazon warehouse were killed in a tornado. You think that matters to them? You think they can't pay out those families? You think they can't go through those lawsuits? It's Amazon. Of course they can. They would rather do that than actually warn people, have people stay at home, in any way inhibit their productivity.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.